Welcome to Rich Conversations. You caught us in a moment of laughter because I'm joined by the wonderful Collin O'Brien.
Well, geez, Rich, it's just such a pleasure to be here. I can't even tell you. We've been talking about this for a while.
We have. We're off to a great start. Collin is an OG on the podcast. This dates all the way back to summer of 2019. Now, we're on episode... This will be around like 316, 317, around there.
Wow.
And back then, I was doing practice ones.
That's right.
You know, I had the idea of doing a podcast. I wanted to do it for a while. I had some equipment, and then I was just like, I'm going to ask friends. I'm going to go around the city, and I have a list of questions. I'll ask questions to everybody. And then when I feel ready or whenever, I'll just go with it. And we had one at Bourgeois Pig.
That's right. Yeah, that was the first. Yeah.
And it was so awesome, and it felt so relieving afterwards. And we were like, let's just release it as a regular one. So his first appearance was 005, episode 5, I think. 5 or 7, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then there've been one or two more.
I know we did one other at Lincoln Station.
Okay. Now, Collin here...
And I had drank way too much coffee that day.
See, Collin can be a difficult man to track down because he's always on the road. He's always on tour. So Collin is the drummer for Neal Francis, and this is his latest record that's out. I love collecting vinyl, and so I have all of Neal's on vinyl. And so when Collin's not out touring, he's here in Chicago, and we finally found some time to get together, and it's so lovely to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. You've been out to a couple shows in the last couple years, like in New York and maybe in LA, I think I ran into.
Not LA, Chicago. I was at the recording of this album.
That's right. But ran into you in New York. You were at the Williamsburg show.
Yeah.
I believe. And I caught you outside really quick, and I said, "Hey, man, we should do another podcast sometime."
Yeah. You know. Yeah, Collin's a great guest, a great person to talk to. We really hit it off. We have a lot of similar interests, and something I love doing. I feel like a lot of my friends are musicians or artists, and they're playing shows, and it's something really fun for me to. It's a reason to go out. It's a reason to travel. It's something exciting. And to see friends on stage doing their thing, it's so amazing to me. I love that whole experience.
I appreciate you coming out and supporting. And for us on stage, at least in my, experience, like if I look out in the crowd while performing and I see you, especially in a place like New York or obviously in Chicago, we have a lot of friends here, but the fact that you were out in another place and I see you in the crowd, I'm like, oh man, it's just the best feeling, you know?
That's a cool, one of the cool experiences I've had is running into friends or being with friends in a different space other than the space you're most familiar with. For example, Dumpster Funk was playing a show in Brooklyn, and afterwards we went out and we were chatting, Alex Wasili and I, and it's just like Chicago friends just transplanted in another space. It's just so cool.
It's so wild, yeah. It makes it feel like so much more real, almost, you know?
And real and abstract at the same, like a dream at the same time?
Totally, yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Beautiful
thing.
You have some herbal tea. I've been on an herbal tea kick recently. We also have water. This is my new thing.
Yeah,
okay.
What you got?
I think drinking water is very healthy for you. We're made up of a lot of water, so it's good to have water. And people will talk about being dehydrated and the importance of drinking water, some people have a hard time doing it, but I don't think it's a hydration problem. I think it's a container problem. So now I pour my water out of a crystal decanter. And all I want to do is just keep pouring water all day.
Oh my gosh.
Look at how beautiful this is.
And you know what? Damn, that tastes good.
Yeah, here, let me fill you
Thank you.
up a little bit more, sir.
We got a lot to talk about, you know. We've got to stay hydrated here. Yeah.
Stay hydrated. And something I did at the end of last year actually was went through my possessions and asked 2 questions. Do I use this? Do I have a specific plan how I would use it the next 6 months? And then, depending on those answers, then I dispose or keep something. And I came across this guy, which I got at an estate sale for $20.
Nice.
And I hadn't used it in the 3 years that I owned it. Not once.
But you can't throw that out.
I was like, I don't want to get rid of this.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out, it's now my hydration container.
I love it.
Yeah.
It also works. I'm not drinking alcohol right now, so it's very nice to, have a nice container for
You'll be very hydrated after this.
Definitely. Yeah.
Now, you came in my apartment and there's an overwhelming scent of sage.
I wouldn't say overwhelming. I'd say welcoming. A very welcoming scent of sage. Yeah.
I have this sage, and I thought, there's no bad energy here. But I thought I would I feel like Collin would appreciate this. So I'm just going to clear the energy so we have new energy.
Yes, exactly.
When we're here.
Yeah.
And it's not too strong. I thought like maybe a fan or something would be okay.
No, I love it. I use sage in my house quite a bit. So sage is typically used to exactly how you said, clear the energy out. And then, what Palo Santo is? Palo Santo is this it's this wood.
Yeah.
And that's supposedly used, you burn it, and that's supposed to bring new, fresh, good energy in.
Okay.
So, in my house, we had a roommate move out, and when he moved out, I got a huge sage stick, and I burned it, and you walk all through the apartment, and you clear the air. Another thing you can do is it's pretty cold today, but you can open windows and then burn it, so it's cleansing all the air and then also taking some out and leaving the space
See, I was gonna open the windows, but then like you said, it's
cold.
It's cold today. Yeah.
It got really chilly, but
yeah,
it's a good thing to do. Yeah,
I love incense, candles, sage. I don't do as often, but I do every now and then. I appreciate it. I didn't know that was a name. Palo Santo.
Palo Santo. Yeah.
Palo Santo.
Mm-hmm.
See, he's been all over the world, Collin. He's been touring, and he just is a man of the world now, and he knows about all these different things.
You see some things out there,
Oh, man. Yeah, I rearranged a space. This is the first time I did a set like this.
I like it.
It's something more I've noticed. I don't necessarily love the couch and the color. I'm very into aesthetics and colors and stuff, and the black just doesn't do it. At the same time, in the new space I go into, I think I'm gonna have reading chairs.
Nice.
I think that's my favorite way to read books.
Yeah.
Is reading chairs, because the couch, it's a little too lax. Bed is a little too tiring.
Yep.
On a chair like this, it's pretty hard. It's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I find when I go out and there's reading chairs. Those
it's like
are the most effective.
it's like the right amount of comfort. You can't fully lay down, but like you can also sink into it, you know, and stay a while.
You can use your, you can pose while you're reading books. But let's talk more about you and what you're up to. I'm so excited to have you on because it's been quite a while.
It's been a couple of years now, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the last time you were on, the big highlight was Red Rocks.
Oh, true, yeah.
How many times since that recording have you played there?
We've played 3 times total, and I can't remember if that was before or after we played the first time. But the first time that we played, we opened for our friend's band, the Revivalists, and we got to do, it was 2 nights in a row.
Okay.
Which was great because obviously your nerves stepping onto that stage night 1 are just through the roof, and you're like, what is happening right now? And getting to do it again the second night, you're like, okay, man, we got through last night, and like, this is like a bonus round. And then this last summer we had the opportunity to play opening for the band Shaky Graves, great band, and that was a very different experience. For a number of reasons. The night before at Red Rocks, there was a show. Yeah, the night before we played, the show at Red Rocks had a rain and hailstorm that was actually like catastrophic. Like there was like baseball-sized hail coming down that was like injuring people.
Wow. And
people's cars in the parking lot just like covered in dents, and there was so much rain that water was literally like cascading down all the steps. And so we were playing with Shaky Graves in Vail that night, the night before we played, and there was no weather up there. It was a beautiful night, like wasn't even windy. But we got on the internet, after the show, and we were like, whoa, look what's happening down there, like, oh no, this is so bad. Luckily, the next day when we got there, the weather had cleared up, and we were about to go set up all of our stuff on stage for sound check, and these like sirens started going off. And it was like inclement weather incoming, and all the stagehands and union workers and security people working were like, you guys have to go shelter in the green rooms until the storm passes. So the green rooms at Red Rocks, the stage is here, and then the green rooms are on either side of the stage, and on like the second story, you like walk up these stairs and you kind of go down a hallway, and they're kind of like built into the rock wall.
Oh, cool.
It's a pretty sweet space. So we're sitting in there and we're all like nervous, and actually Alex Wasili and Corbin Andrick and John Michael Bradford, who plays trumpet in Dumpster Funk, they were all playing with us that show.
Oh, so nice.
It was the 4 of us and our tour manager and our sound guy, and then the 3 of them, and we were just like having a blast, just hanging out, like just the friendships in that room, like we could have just stayed there all night and been fine. So the storm comes in, and again, baseball-sized hail starts coming down, and we look out, and it's raining so hard that again water is cascading down like the steps, and I literally I looked up at like the stands, and I saw this like actual like river that was just like and we were all just like, whoa, this show is not gonna happen, like okay, like let's hunker down. And luckily that storm only lasted maybe like an hour.
Okay.
So it passed, and they said weather was gonna, come through again, but we were like clear for the time being. So we all rushed downstairs. We set up all of our gear and start getting ready for sound check. And we really like lucked out. So we got to play our set, and in between our set and Shaky Graves, weather came through and it got put on a delay. It wasn't as severe as the storm before, but, like no music happened. Like some people were leaving because they heard about what they heard, what they saw last night. And lo and behold, in the end, like the entire show happened. There was like a couple delays here and there, but Shaky got to play their full set, and it was a really beautiful night.
Wow!
And it was nice to play that time with the addition of the horns with Alex and Corbin and John, and they just sounded amazing, and added that other element to the set that we don't normally have. So it was very special. Yeah.
Can you see the stars when you're like out there?
Yeah, you can. And we during our set, it was like still like the sun was still setting a little bit. But when we were watching Shaky Graves set, we walked up to the very top, and there's like a little like pavilion on top behind, all the stands and stuff. So we took a moment and walked back there, and you can look out and see like the mountains going west, and it's a really nice view. And it was a super clear night after all the weather had passed. So we looked up, and the stars were out, and it was beautiful. Yeah. And all of a sudden we saw this like string of stars. Like it looked like 10 shooting stars all in a row, just like, and we were like, what is that? Like, did we just see like aliens? And some guy next to us, he's like, I wish, but that was Starlink. It was like Elon Musk's like internet thing for rich people. It's like a string of satellites that like move around. So we were like, darn, it wasn't aliens. It was just the internet.
You're out. Oh man. So Red Rocks is under your belt. Have there been like what's the next like venue that you'd be super psyched to play at?
Yeah, there's a lot of places that I really look forward to playing. I think even on a larger scale than Red Rocks, like the Gorge, which is in Washington, is extremely scenic, beautiful place. It's called the Gorge because when you're watching the show, you're on this big hill and the stage is here, but then behind it is this like gigantic canyon, and you can see for like miles, and there's this like river that just goes off in the distance, and it's so expansive. I've never been there, but that's definitely a bucket list for me for sure.
You get to see a lot of nature, it seems like. Neal, it's like summertime is the big time. You're right now recording a new album, right?
Yep. We're in the midst of recording, and
then when the weather gets nice, you guys take off again.
Yep, we're gonna be touring this year. Record should come out maybe late this year or early next year, depending on when everything gets buttoned up. But it's happening.
Because I know you and I see different things. Your trip to Japan. Could you share the stories from Japan?
Absolutely. That was one of the best experiences of, I think, all of our lives. And we talk about it all the time. And even just this week, like, Neal texted me that on Wikipedia, one of the places we went where it was like the featured page on Wikipedia. And so we chatted about it and like, sent pictures. But we had the opportunity to go to Japan last summer and play Fuji Rock Festival. And after we played that festival, we had like no shows booked for like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I don't know if by design or by chance, but all of us, everyone in the band, chose to stay in Japan for 2 weeks after the festival, and we all traveled around together. We went to Tokyo and Kyoto and Osaka, and we went to this very small peninsula on the southern part of Japan. It's called the Izu Peninsula. Uh-huh. We stayed in this town called Shimoda, and it was so amazing. It literally felt like we were in Hawaii. You know, it was super tropical beach town. And I think the coolest part of that part of the trip, or the coolest aspect, was like we were kind of the only tourists in this town, and we were like, you know, hanging out on a beach one day, and like Japanese people were coming up to us, and they were like, "Hey, like, how did you find this?
Why are you here?"
Yeah, they're like, this is where the Japanese go to vacation. Like we don't see a lot of like, Americans here. And thank you, Reddit. But it was awesome. That staying there was probably the most like authentic experience that we had there. Definitely the most language barrier, but the Japanese people are so kind and so patient and so respectful, that they really made us feel at home and accepted, and it was a very, very beautiful, very beautiful time, and we rode bikes all over and stuff. But we'll go back to Fuji Rock Festival, because in my eyes that was the absolute best run and coolest festival experience I've ever had.
Really? Why is that?
Life. So, even though it's called Fuji Rock, and there's Mount Fuji in Japan, very famous mountain and the biggest peak on the island. The festival is actually 3 hours north of Tokyo, at this ski resort. It's called Nabiya ski resort, and there was, I think, 140,000 people at this festival total, and it was so spread out and so like curate. It was such like a curated, like thoughtful experience. Like you walked in the gates kind of like at the base of the mountain and stuff, and you would walk, and there was a tent and a food court, and you'd keep walking. There was like the main stage, like very, very large stage. And if you walked past that, you would walk through this forest that was all lit up and had cool little art installations everywhere. And that led to another stage, which kind of like wrapped up further up the mountain and kind of behind, the other stages. And you get up there, and there was another stage, and you'd keep going. There was another one, but going in between each stage was such an experience, and it was so like everything about like walking there was like everything was just intermeshed with nature so like beautifully and like thoughtfully, and it wasn't like things were like built on top of anything. Like it was all like nestled in, which gave you the sense that, you know, when the festival is over, like that entire area would seem untouched. And there was like amazing bands playing. The first band we saw there was Alanis Morissette. Nice. And it was like incredible. Like there was like thousands and thousands of people there, like, and everyone's like dancing and respecting each other's space, and like just the kindest audience like I've ever seen before, and very like nostalgic to see Alanis. I'm a big fan, so that was really cool. And the set that we played was at this very cool stage. It was, so if you walked through everything and walked up kind of behind, it was the biggest stage kind of up in the mountains, and you'd walk up and there's this big clearing in the trees, and the stage is here, and in the back of the stage they built this like sort of pyramid sort of structure, and from the stage, like where my drums were set up, like in the middle of the stage, I was looking out, and the top of this like structure that they built perfectly lined up with the peak of this mountain, like behind it, like in the distance. So like everything felt very symmetrical, and it felt like there was a pretty like intense and like heavy like energy to the
Really?
to the space that we were in. And so we get there. Me and our sound guy, Carter, walked to the stage early that day. We had gotten up and gotten breakfast, and we were like, this is so cool, let's go explore. Yeah. So we got to the stage like maybe like an hour and a half earlier than the rest of the band. And when we walked up, there was one of the coolest bands, one of the most like surprising and unique and just like most amazing like performance like either of us had ever seen. And like we got there and we just like stopped, and it was this band called Okie Dub, Ainu band, and they're a band from Hokkaido, which is the northernmost island in Japan. And this band uses all traditional Japanese instruments that I learned Oki, the front man, actually built by hand.
Wow.
He's a luthier. So they were all playing tankoris, which is this Japanese style of guitar. And the story behind them is Ainu music is the indigenous music of Hokkaido. Okay. And Oki grew up playing Ainu music, in his town and learning the traditions of it, and became like a well-established musician through playing, Ainu music. And at some point he met this dub reggae producer. And
interesting.
The band is a fusion of traditional Japanese music and dub reggae, and it was so fucking wild. Like, Carter and I were just like, what are we hearing right now? And like, it just like started so slow and airy, and like you can almost like hear the wind through the trees, like just very delicate, like beautiful. And it just turned into this like swirling like madness, and like the whole crowd, like the energy just built the entire set until it just like everyone just like exploded in like ecstatic dance by the end. And we were like some of the only like Americans there, like no, it didn't seem like any other tourists like knew about this band or like knew this set, and we just happened upon it. And they're like one of my favorite bands now. I listen to them like almost every day.
Wow.
So that was really cool. And then it's time for us to play. So we get up and we get ready to sound check and stuff. And if there's one thing that the Japanese are, it's punctual.
I can imagine that.
They are so punctual. So we set up and we do our sound check, and there's this big field in front of us, and there's like 40 people there, and we play in like 20 minutes. So we sound check and we're like, okay, there might not be a lot of people at the set, but we're playing in Japan.
Yeah.
And like, how cool is this? Like,
Right.
I don't care if 1 or 1,000 people show up, you know? We go backstage and vibes in our band were a little weird in between sound check and the show because, you know, we're like, well, what's going to happen? Like, we come out here to like hopefully we make like a splash, you know, in Japan, and hopefully people know about us and want to see our set, and vibes are a little off. We're a little nervous, and we get to the side of the stage and there's a curtain, we can't see anything out there, and we're feeling weird. And something that I've done in shows where we're a little nervy or, you know, feeling a little uncomfortable before the set is right before we hit the stage, I'm like, guys, everyone just scream as loud as you can. Just get it all out. Like 1, 2, 3, we're all like, like until our breath runs out, and then again, like, and so we do that, and all of a sudden we hear just this roar, just this like huge roar of people screaming out in front of the stage, and we go out on stage, and there's like the field's full. The field is full of people, and they all heard us scream backstage, and they were screaming back at us. So we walk out, and we're like, let's go. We're like, let's go. This is going to be awesome. And just like, really, I think we delivered a very good set that we all felt good about. And it was wild. Like, you know, we'd look out and Japanese people were singing the words to the songs, and there's just no sort of feeling like that I can describe.
Right,
like that feeling was really, really powerful.
It's an amazing story. Thanks for sharing
Yeah,
that.
no problem.
What? The last time we talked on the pod, we were discussing breathing before the shows. Has your pre-show ritual changed, or have you adapted it differently, or?
Yeah, it has. Given the day, you know,
Okay.
it varies by day. It varies by how much time we have before we play. It varies with what sort of energy level we're at. If we're kind of deep into a tour and, you know, it's the 5th show in a row in the 5th different city, and we've been moving a lot and setting up and tearing down and loading the van and getting a couple hours of sleep because we had to get up early to go to the next place. Sometimes pre-show, what I need to do most is like, you know, relax. Like, I need to take a moment for myself. Sometimes like lay down and close my eyes and not go to sleep, but, you know, take some breaths. Breathing's always a part of it. And then, you know, on those days, like, lie down, take some breaths, kind of collect myself, kind of come back to myself a little bit, and then I'll get up and I'll stretch. Stretching has become kind of a mainstay.
Stretching?
Yeah, because my instrument is very active. It's very physical, and yeah, I've had some sort of shoulder injuries, or
So it's like upper body.
a lot of
kind
upper body
Okay.
stuff, and also stretching like the wrists and the calves, because, you know, I'm working my foot and legs too. So making sure everything's like limber enough so I don't get any cramps, or I'm not like pulling muscles that I shouldn't be when I'm playing because I'm stiff.
Yeah.
And then like warming up my hands, you know, with warm-ups and rudiments and things that'll get my hands kind of ready. If I have a ton of time, all of that same thing will happen, but I'll also meditate for a little bit, and then I'll also do a more in-depth warm-up, that'll go on a little bit longer. But
Wow.
yeah, it's whatever you can do to get your mind and your body in tune, for the performance.
A couple thoughts. First, what are some of these stretches that you do?
Well,
I can hold this.
yeah. So if I don't have a lot of space, if it's a small green room to stretch out my wrists and hands, I'll do this one.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So just on your knees, just stretching all of that. I'll also definitely this one.
That's a classic one.
That's a classic.
That's a classic.
These are all classic.
You learned that in kindergarten.
Yeah, totally. This one helps me a lot, putting my hand on a wall and then rotating this way and kind of pressing into the shoulder to open up the pectorals a little bit. And some yoga exercises like downward facing dog and upward facing dog and yeah.
So is stretching something newer that you added?
Yes and no. It's something that became more of a necessity as touring became more rigorous. And we're sitting in a van all day and we're driving, so I've said this to many friends, but it's it's pretty funny, on tour days, it's I sit in a van all day, whether I'm driving or I'm sitting in the back reading or listening to music, and then I get to the show and I set everything up, and then I'm sitting on stage playing the drums. And what do I do after the show? I get off stage, I'm whoa, I need to sit down. I'm tired now. I need to sit down. It's bad. But so I also make it a point when we have time to I try to take a long walk, as long of a walk
I've been doing walks
as possible, to not be sitting down, to get my blood flowing and move my legs, and to see a little bit more of the place that we're in, because it could get so busy that you get to the place, you set up, you play the show, you tear down. It's very possible that you don't even get to walk around the block in some cool city that you've never been in. So it's nice to it's really nice to get out. And I also I bought 2 fold-up bicycles that I throw in the trailer. So I also will try to.
Why 2? Not one.
Well, I got one, and everyone was like, "Why are you bringing that out? It's taking up so much space." And then I'd be taking bike rides, and I'd come back, and I was like, "That was awesome. I feel great. You should see what's up there." And then a family friend was like, "Hey, I have one of these just lying around. We never use it. If you want another one." I was like, "Yeah, for sure." So now it's great. 2 of us can ride bikes. Our guitarist Collin, he brings roller skates. So we've become much more mobile.
It's so great to hear. And it's you guys are really hitting a groove and have been riding momentum where you're adding, and you've been discussing energy. It's all this kind of experience, you're able to pick up on all these little nuances, which is cool to see.
Yeah, I think we're all trying to do everything a little bit better every day, and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't, and taking account of all that really has helped us helped us grow together a lot more, and helped us to, have better attitudes when we're out there, and ultimately just have a better experience and be able to take more in and get more out of the opportunity that we have.
Wow. What's the quickest thing you can do for energy?
Oh, good question.
Stretching, breathing, walking. Yeah, it's all of those things.
Yep,
yeah,
totally. Being sedentary is it's sort of like, if you're too sedentary, it's kind of like a nail in the coffin to your energy. If you're not getting your blood flowing, if you're not getting the oxygen that you need, like, it's all depreciative, from there. Like, there was a while where if I was really tired, after a show we had a day off, I'm like, I need a day to just like lie in bed and not do anything. And we'd get back on the road after the break, and I'd be like, I just need a day to lie in bed and not do anything. So now on the days off, it's like, well, like, obviously take time to rest. Rest is like super important, but also get up and get out and get moving a little bit. And it's your body's like an engine that needs to like warm up. So at least getting some movement in it starts your engine back up.
Wow. Yeah, because there's a difference between touring and touring sustainably.
Mm-hmm.
And because you can see, and I'm sure you know of bands and musicians and artists who have burned out during that because they go so hard and maybe don't have those habits developed. Whereas if you're visualizing sustainability, the things you've been talking about are incorporating those things.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
absolutely. And I think you see that more often than not. At a certain level of bands who tour a lot, everyone figures out their own way. So there's no right and wrong way to do it. And literally everyone is totally unique and needs totally different things. For me, and I would say this for the whole band, like we've really narrowed down what foods really sustain us well, and so like the green room snacks and
Okay.
food we have before is all like super healthy, clean.
What are some of these snacks?
Oh man, it's pretty much all we eat. It's like fruits, vegetables, there's a little bit of hummus, there's, like Lara bars or RX bars, but like, like not like Cliff bars because those have added sugar, and added sugar that's bad. So we have like green juice, we have cold brew coffee, a lot of like seltzer water.
So this is all stuff that they get for you and supply for you in the green
Yeah,
room.
it's what we
The
like.
green juice? Where do you get green juice?
Each venue we send in our what's called like the rider. It's our requests for, hospitality stuff in the back. So usually someone from the venue will go to a grocery store, or somewhere in the area to grab stuff. But now we've had to like add stipulations like, well, don't get green juice if it's, if it has a bunch of added sugar in it. Or like get like fresh squeezed orange juice as opposed to like Tropicana, which has a bunch of added sugar. So and even like peanut butter and stuff. It's like we have to like list like, okay, get these like organic, like clean, stuff with just like 2 ingredients in it and not a bunch of fillers.
That's a big thing I'm on right now, and I was staying with Sammy out in LA last week, and we were talking all about this. I'm like, because I came over and I have a breakfast I follow every day, and so I'll buy it like the first day I'm traveling, and then I take it kind of with me, which is oatmeal and like blueberries or bananas, and then I have this. Usually I'll do like 1% milk. This time I did I'm on vacation a little bit. I'm traveling.
So I got milk. The vacationer's dream.
Vanilla. It's sweetened, you see. But this doesn't have any added sugars. I said to him, you really got to look out for sugars. They're Trojan horsed into every food we eat.
Especially in America. In other places, it's like it's way more labeled, and you know what you're getting. But in America, it's just like that's how our food. So it's clean. It's very clean. But yeah, no, I mean, like, high fructose corn syrup is just fucking in everything. I don't know if I can swear, but
Well, we'll figure it out.
yeah.
I'm still working on that. Of like, I think I want to make it more of a PG-13.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
but
I let some slip here and there.
some things happen.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you like. You really have to like look at the ingredients on stuff, and
ooh, barbecue sauce. Like,
check it out. Yeah.
you see, barbecue sauce is one of those foods that you don't think of sugar when you think barbecue sauce. You just you don't even think of it in regard to nutrition, really. It's just kind of a condiment you put on. But
Yeah.
well, this one I've done a good job of. This one has 4 grams of added sugar, 5 total, which isn't too bad.
It's not too bad.
Another one that's like sticky and sweet. I really like Stubbs. This is spicy. This is sticky sweet. Yeah, so sticky sweet has 11 grams of sugar.
Yep, totally. And is that per serving or per the bottle? 'Cause that's another thing you have to look at.
Serving, 2 tablespoons. And a tablespoon, it's like... We're getting all of our kitchenware out. Now, if you fill this up, this tablespoon is about 4 grams.
Uh-huh.
So you think of like a soda especially.
Oh my God.
Say like a Pepsi, I think has, or a Coke, it's like 38 grams in 1 can. So that's almost like 10 of these.
Yep. Totally. It is so wild. And they're so sneaky. It's like sugar is in everything. And when we're...
So I could see that as a really hard thing on the road.
It is.
To combat.
Yeah, you have to like really look out for it. Mike, our bass player, he does, do you know the Whole30 diet?
No.
So it's basically just like eating only whole foods and only eating like real foods. It's very difficult to do on the road, and you're eliminating like all carbs. You're eliminating anything that you eat that will turn into sugar in your body too. It's like no carbs, no sugar, no artificial ingredients. So you're just eating like only like real food and mostly vegetables and clean protein. So Mike got really into Whole30. We all got pretty into Whole30, but Mike has done like and it's called Whole30 because you're supposed to do it for 30 days to sort of like reset.
Okay.
Your body. It's sort of like a cleanse diet. He does like whole 100s. Like that's just like how he eats now. I went vegan for all of last year, and
all of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And felt amazing. Like, and I'm not. There's times where I'll eat meat and dairy and stuff, but every time we go back on the road, I go back to like eating vegan, with the exception of like, let's say we're in, like, when we were in Japan.
Yeah.
I was eating vegan all year, and we got to Japan, and Japanese food is my absolute favorite. It always has been. And I was just like, I'm getting sushi, I'm getting ramen, I'm getting all the udon noodles, and literally like the first day I just went like full on the other direction. But their food and their food quality and standards are so much higher than America's that I didn't get sick at all. I felt really good over there. And actually coming back and even eating vegan food in America, our food standards and quality are so much lower, and there's so much like cost cutting and fillers put in everything, that I felt more sick coming back and trying to eat healthy here. Wild.
Yeah, that's something that has. It's a topic that's come up more and more in conversations I've had with people. It's just like wellness in America, and the obstacles that are already in place, that are like hurdles, that in order to live healthy and well, you have to exert and go out of your way to do it, rather than just it being more natural.
Yeah. I think it's kind of insidious in this country. It's like they're putting sugar and high fructose corn syrup and all these artificial things into food that ultimately make you sick. And then we're one country that does not provide free healthcare. So you have to get health insurance because you're bound to get sick by eating the food, and then all like it. I don't know. It's sort of set up to make you sick and have to go through, the healthcare system. It's almost like they're just like trying to make money off of people's health, which is I think a horrible thing.
I don't know if it's. I understand that. I see that.
Maybe I'm just paranoid.
No, I think a lot of people would feel that way, and do. I think America is just set up so much differently. It's all about your freedom as an individual and your choices. So companies will do to the foods whatever they deem necessary to get profits in a way.
Yep.
Like they make the food and put it on shelves and let the market decide.
Yep.
The people. But a lot of this isn't really talked about with sugars. Like say cereal. One time I was at Sammy's and he had a box of Honey Nut Cheerios. He's like, "Is this healthy for you?" And I looked at the nutritionist. I was like, "Dude, it's got like 12 grams of sugar in it."
Yeah, totally. And on the front, they I don't know, since I've ever seen Honey Nut Cheerios, it's like heart healthy.
Yeah.
It's like really good for your heart. It's like that is going to kill you if you eat too much.
It's like it's different with say like shampoos and stuff. All of a sudden I'll see on a bottle like Probane free or something. I'm like,
What's Probane?
What's that? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Was I supposed to know about that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's wild.
I think like
it'd just be easier if like
I try to do this.
Yeah.
I try to think, is this natural or unnatural? In a sense, how is this the closest to its form? Like this piece of sustenance is flavored as cotton candy. Is that natural or unnatural? It's probably unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
Is this like, I was looking at licorice about a month ago, although I ate like another whole bag of licorice in like 2 days.
It's good. Treat yourself.
But I'm looking at it, it's like so red.
Yeah.
That can't be that. I have never seen this color in nature ever.
Never.
Yeah, it's interesting. So getting back to it though, I feel like that's a hard thing to do. And that's something I tried on this LA trip, is try to eat healthy, but also economical.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's easier to go to the grocery store, get all your healthy stuff, come back, cook it throughout the week. But if you're on the road, it's
impossible.
It's a different dynamic.
Yeah. There's been months where I haven't like had a kitchen at my disposal. So like you're getting takeout food all the time, or you're going to a grocery store and like making stuff that you don't need a kitchen for, which like, you can do salads and stuff, but like, it's hard to make like a hearty, filling comforting meal without
Yeah.
a kitchen. So we are left to just like eat, takeout all the time. So we have to be really, really smart about what we get. And
Yeah.
sometimes that involves us like going into a place and just like being that customer that's like, can you make this without that and maybe add this and like what do you use? What do you cook that? Oh,
What oil
no,
do you
yeah,
use?
yeah. It's just like you just have to be that like really tough customer sometimes, But I don't know. At the end of the day, it's your health, It's
Yeah, I was telling some friends, I was at the airport coming back from LA, and there's this like chicken pesto baguette, roasted red peppers thing, sandwich, and it was $18.50. And it's outrageous,
yeah.
but it also was the best tasting food I've ever had at an airport.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Oh, an airport.
At least
airport food too. It's just like whatever they're making, they can just charge
At
so
least
much
it
because
tastes
they're like, well, do you want it or not? You're either gonna buy it or like
Or-
you're gonna
or-
eat McDonald's down there.
Or like have a bodily crash. That's what I think is like, okay, $18.50 plus another few for espresso. In 4 hours or on this plane, am I gonna just my
Yeah.
body just go crazy?
Yeah.
So maybe it's worth it that way. I
Yeah,
don't know.
totally. Whenever we're in an airport, I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna treat myself. I don't care what it costs. Like I'm gonna get the good thing that I want
Oh, okay.
in an airport, which is bad because like now we're in airports a lot more. So like I have to be more.
What? Okay,
I have to suss
what
it out more, but I don't know. Something in my brain is just like, okay, yeah, I'm about to sit on this plane. I need to like put something good in my body, and it's probably gonna cost a lot. Same thing. Yeah.
What's been the most interesting airport you've been to so far?
Oh, good question. We 2 summers ago we played a show in Finland.
Okay.
So we flew into Helsinki, and it was one of the worst travel days. It was 2 of the worst travel days in airports we've ever had, both getting in and getting out. So we were in Amsterdam, and we picked up this festival gig very last minute, like literally like the night before. So like we had to scramble to get flights and everything. So we had to fly to Helsinki, and we couldn't get a flight from Amsterdam to Helsinki. What we could do is get a flight from Brussels, Belgium, with a connection flight in Amsterdam, then to Helsinki.
Oh.
So we had to wake up in the morning, drive 6 hours south, go to Brussels, get on a plane, fly back to Amsterdam.
Where you were.
Where we were. And like, I don't know how or why, but then we had like a 6-hour layover in Amsterdam and then flew to Helsinki. So we get to Helsinki, we stay at this very cool, nice Hilton that the festival put us in right at the airport. We sleep for maybe 4 hours because we got in, late at night. Get up, drive, 3 hours to play the show. Played the show, drive 3 hours back that night, and then our flight was supposed to leave at 6:15 in the morning. So got back, couldn't see any of Finland really besides out the window of the car. Got up in the morning, got all our bags and stuff, went to the airport. Our flight out of Helsinki was delayed 8 hours. Okay. So we had 8 hours to spend in this airport, and we're so tired from everything that just happened. We're all just sleeping on the stuff. But the airport was beautiful and all really well designed, and man, I saw the entire thing. We walked all over it, they had a smoking room in it, and at one point, I'm just in there like shame smoking a cigarette, and Neal, who like hadn't smoked in a while, he just comes in. He's like, dude, can I have a cigarette? I'm like, yeah. So, yeah, maybe that wasn't the coolest airport, but it was the most unique, and I got to spend the most time.
It's the most
there.
interesting experience.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, we're wrapping up. Before we close out, this is my favorite question. What are you curious about recently?
Oh, good question. So I just started this sober month.
Okay.
And it's been really enlightening so far. And I've taken breaks from substances in the past. Weed has been kind of a mainstay in my life since I was like 15. And I'm doing total sobriety, so no alcohol, no weed, no nothing.
But I asked you this when you came in. Does caffeine and cigarettes does that count as...
So not total sobriety, but for me, no weed. We're calling it total sobriety. And I am so curious because I've used marijuana in the past to become inspired or to be introspective or to, used it to think deeply about, whatever it may be. I'm very curious with the absence of it, if my inspiration or like depth of thinking is going to be like altered. And what I found just only in this week is like, wow, no, I was actually like weighing myself down with it. And what I thought was helping me get deeper into these things might have actually been getting me further away. So I'm very curious to see what happens in the future with the absence of these sort of, mind-altering substances. I'm curious to see like what will unfold.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
Yeah, and I'm feeling very inspired, so...
Way to go, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for coming on. This has been the best. We got to have you on again soon.
I'm always down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Twist my arm.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. Appreciate it, man. It's great to see you.
You too.
Yeah.
You too.